Well, good morning and welcome back to Nazareth. In the first week of Nazareth, we got to know Joseph and Mary, who they were as people, who they were as spouses. And of course, last week we focused lots of our time on who they were as a married couple. In this second week of Nazareth, I'd like to draw us into their family, as their marriage was holy. It was certainly ordered toward family and life. And the question was, what was Nazareth like? What was their home like? And what was their family like? To learn more about their family, we would do well to learn a little bit more about Nazareth. And Nazareth was a small village tucked away in a valley between two big mountain ranges. It's about 93 miles north of Jerusalem and 30 miles from the Mediterranean Sea. It was at least a 2 days walk from the nearest big city, which was Tiberias on the Sea of Galilee. From what we know, Nazareth was probably very poor, very overpopulated, and there would have been a scarcity of natural resources, basic resources such as water or fertile soil. Nazareth was poor. Nazareth was simple. There were very little distractions. Nazareth was the perfect environment for Joseph and Mary to raise Jesus. It's a great place for family. Little distractions meant that they could be present to each other. I think today's family is facing an immense challenge in being present to each other. I guess to start with, never before have we lived at the pace that we live at. There's so much activity. It just seems like there's so much to do. And I think oftentimes parents feel like they're more experts in time management as they try to put together soccer practice and dance rehearsal and arrange play dates. Furthermore, I think our culture is inundated with instantaneous stimulation. iPhones, iPads, iPods. Families can literally be in the same room with each other, the same car, the same event, and they don't have to talk to each other. Finally, if they do, I think it can be a challenge for them to relate to each other, because I think the culture that we have these days, I think many of the younger generation have grown accustomed to communicating through tweets or text or Facebook or social media rather than just basic human conversation. I think a lot of people talk about how our culture has advanced, but I think there's lots of debate on whether our families have. The question is, how present are you? How present are you to your family or to your parish? How would you describe the depth of your relationship with your family or your parishioners? And how present is your family to you, or how present are your parishioners to you? Do you feel busy? Maybe even too busy? Do you feel like people really know you? Really know your heart? Do you feel like you really know the people that you want to? Now be honest. How has the culture and all its technology, or all the challenges on your calendar, both positively and negatively impacted you, your relationships, and your family? Now here's the good news. God doesn't need the gizmos that we need. God doesn't need a laptop or a Kindle or a BlackBerry. God is always present to you. Even if you slow down and you try to pray and find it difficult to be present to Him, God is always present to you. Slow down. After all, what are you really chasing? Today, turn off all the gadgets and the gizmos when you don't really need them. And today, just be present to people. Let them be present to you. And be present to a God who is very present to you. For your prayer today, I would invite us to maybe just imagine how many times Mary and Joseph would have prayed together. It was an image that we prayed with last week, and it carries us into this week, and we just know that they would have prayed a lot together. Imagine the way that just the city of Nazareth would have mirrored the pace written of in Psalm 131. So what I want you to do is read Psalm 131. Read it 2, 3, 4 times. Just pray with it real slow, and every time you read it, slow down even more. And just pay attention to what word or phrase kind of tugs at your heart. And of course, as we've talked about, just pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and desires as maybe a word or phrase just kind of speaks to you. And I would invite you to maybe pray with a hidden scene in Nazareth. Maybe just imagine that you're there with them. Jesus is, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years old. It's an ordinary evening in the home of the Holy Family. And I want you to notice that there's no TV. There was no internet. There was no PlayStation. There was no iPods. Mary and Joseph would have been present to Jesus and would have enjoyed the evening together. And you're there, right there, with them. You're just in the midst of it, just kind of enjoying the evening, listening to what they talk about and just observing them. And they turn to you, and they look at you, and they ask you, what's on your heart today? And they ask you specifically, how do you feel about your life, your pace, your family? What is it that you want to tell them? And I want you to listen and just be present as they're present to you. God bless you.